Hello, everyone. All right. So, yesterday I talked a little bit about the tax tip 45B tax, not tax tip, tax credit. And today I want to go into some fine print details about this particular credit. Like I mentioned yesterday, this is more so for my salon owners, my barbershop owners, spa owners who have employees. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about this minimum wage trap that you want to make sure that you are avoiding when it comes to taking this tax credit for 2025 and beyond. So if you are new here, welcome. My name is Jennifer Drew. I am the founder and CEO of Hair CEO. We are a business advisory, bookkeeping, and tax firms specializing in helping self employed hair professionals and hair business owners run legitimate, profitable, and bankable businesses. And so, welcome to this is day 43 of the 2026 Tax Talk series, where I'm coming to you live every evening around this time for 90 days straight. So today is day 43. So welcome if this is your first time. Drop where you are located if this is your first time, or if you've been joining, just let us know in the comments where you're coming from. We have Tara in the chat, Tara in the chat. And if you have questions, she will answer them if I'm not able to answer. But if you're watching this on the replay, I would love for you to do hashtag replay. Just let me know that you have watched. Also, leave any questions that you may have related to this tax tip, tax credit. I don't know why I keep calling it tax tip, but this tip credit, 45B tip credit. So we're going to get into the minimum wage trap. I'm bringing this up because this is kind of like some fine print in the bill. And while I don't think it impacts salon owners and barbershop owners in the way that the law is trying to prevent, I think it impacts us another way. So let me give you a little bit of history around this minimum wage trap. So, like I mentioned yesterday, this 45B tip credit has been something that the restaurant industry has had for years, since 1930 something. And they have been, taking this credit as restaurant owners for a very long time. And in 2025, this is the start of the year where hair industry can take this credit as well. So this is a great thing for our industry. But with restaurants, they are notorious for paying their waiters and waitresses very low wages, so low that it's typically not, I mean, it's not uncommon for the waiters and the waitresses to make like $2.50. If you didn't know that, like, that's an aha moment for you. There are a lot of restaurants where the base pay is $2.15. And so this is why this minimum wage trap was added into the law, because remember, originally this was something that only restaurants were taking. But because now it's being opened up to the hair profession, we now have to follow those same rules, and we have to be careful about this minimum wage trap. Now, like I said, the minimum wage of $2.15 is not an issue for us. And you might be like, well, how are waiters and waitresses making money off of $2.15? Well, you got to remember, they are working with multiple tables, right? And so they're being tipped. And so by the hour, they may have, I mean, I've never worked in the hair in the restaurant industry, but I mean, I know they fight over tables, right? And that's because they want the tips. So the tips are coming in. So by the time you add in the tips, they're probably making, and I don't want to misquote, because let me know in the comments if you've ever worked in the restaurant industry. But I mean, I don't know, how many tables can you have in an hour, right? So you multiply that, they're probably making a good amount an hour, right? But for the hair industry, we don't have that particular problem where you got people making $2.15 an hour. But we do have another problem. And that problem is that there are a lot of salons and barbershops that are doing commission the wrong way. And if this is you, if you pay commission, I really want you to like perk up, because I do not want you getting this wrong. Now, you know, I like my scenarios. So I got a scenario for you. All right. So you have a new stylist or a new barber that's working in your business, and they don't have many clients because they're just starting out. Maybe they just got out of school. They just got out of barber school, cosmetology school, some type of somebody school, right? And you gave them a job and you're being very generous. You're saying, you know what? I'm going to give you a 50-50 split if you come work for me. And let's say it's a very slow week for them, but you have required that they are there 40 hours a week. 40 hours for the week. Now, minimum wage federally is, I think it's $7. Let me double check. $7.25. That is the minimum wage federally. Now, you may live in a state that has a different minimum wage, and you will need to know that. But in your salon or your barbershop, if you pay someone solely commission, you have to make sure you're doing it correctly. And essentially, what the correct way of doing commission looks like is however many hours you require that they be there, you have to make sure that you're at least paying the minimum wage for the amount of hours worked. So in this scenario, example A, they have they've done $1,000 worth of hair services for the week. And at a 50-50 split, this is $500, okay, for the week based on their split. Now, in this scenario, this is more than $290. So in that scenario, yes, you pay them only what they made in commission. Now, in my other scenario B, example B, let's say super slow week, they only had services of $400. And if that 50-50 split, that's $200 that they made for the week. Now, some of you might be like, yeah, then that's what they would get. They would get $200 for that week. And I would tell you that is illegal. There are federal labor laws that states that, essentially they don't care about, the talent. They want to make sure that your employees are getting paid for the time that they've been there at a minimum, and at $7.25 federally. Now, I remember breaking this down to one of a stylist that that had come on board with us for monthly bookkeeping and advisory. And I was explaining to her, I was like, okay, we're hiring. And so this is a braider. And I said, okay, you're hiring some braiders. All right, we're going to do commission. Let's do some projections. The commission rate, I can't remember what the commission rate was, but I explained to her this minimum. She was like, how is somebody supposed to live on $7.25 an hour? I said, I get it. I don't make up the hours. I don't make up the minimum, right? They're fighting over that in Congress right now about raising the minimum wage. But I was like, hey, listen, I explain this stuff to you. I'm not in Congress. I don't make up the laws. I don't make up the rules. I don't know how people are living off of $7.25. But I'm just protecting you right now. And I'm letting you know, if you hire this braider and you have her work for 40 hours, because that's the schedule that you've given her, if she makes $400 in services that she's done, you cannot pay her $200. You have to actually make up the additional 90 to give her the minimum wage. And she was like, wait a minute, what? I was like, exactly. So every time, if you have commissioned barbers, stylists, braiders, whatever, locticians, you have to make sure every week or however often you are running your payroll, you have to do some math and figure out, okay, did I pay them the minimum? Because if you didn't, we got a problem. You can't do that. Can't do this right here. Can't give them $200 if they work 40 hours that week. Okay. So then you might be thinking, well, Jennifer, okay, I got that. Like, but how is this related to the tip credit, the tip tax credit? How is this related? Because right now you ain't talking about, I don't see no tips in here. Okay, great. I got it. Let me hurry up. All right. So in this scenario, let's say this person, let me go back to my black. So in this scenario, this person made $500, and let's say part of their tips, they made $50 in tips. So this is commission. So commission, right? And this is commission because I want to keep it straight. So that's commission, and then tip was $50. So their total paycheck with the commission and with the tips, it was $550. Okay. Now let's say over here they received, and let me erase this because this is my example here. So in this example, they had tip. Let's say the same amount of tip, $50. All right. So remember, yesterday I talked about how in this scenario, you could take the tip credit, whatever tax amount you pay on this $50, you would be able to use it as a tax credit and you would receive that money back. But guess what? You wouldn't get it in this scenario because you are not paying them the minimum wage. So you wouldn't get that tip tax credit. You wouldn't get it. So you have to make sure that at a minimum, you are meeting your minimum wage requirement. And so really super important, because if you don't, then you'll miss out on the credit. All right. So hopefully this makes sense. And I know it doesn't apply to everyone. If you are, a booth renter, or you have a suite and you don't have any employees, then you know what? Then this is just something for you to understand for when you expand and maybe you get a team or maybe you get an assistant. But it's good for you to understand this stuff now, even if it doesn't apply to you. But if you are a salon owner or barbershop owner and you have employees and you want to make sure this is done correctly, you want to make sure that you're getting the right credit for the tips that you've paid taxes on, then I want to invite you to click the link in the description where you can reserve your spot for us to handle your 2025 taxes, to make sure that this is done correctly, because this is brand new and I don't want you cooking up an audit because you think that you know what you're doing and you don't. So I invite you to reserve your spot by clicking the link in the description, and I would love to help you. And so, that's all I got for today. My name is Jen, and I simplify profits and taxes for self-employed hair professionals and hair business owners. And we will see you tomorrow when we dive into day 44 of the 2026 tax talk. See you then.